Right now, you're sitting somewhere safe. The temperature is controlled, your stomach is full. There is no predator in the room, but your chest is tight anyway. Something in you is scanning, watching, waiting for a threat that isn't there. You feel it in the elevator at work. You feel it when your phone buzzes with an unexpected message. You feel it at 2 in the morning when the house is quiet and your brain decides to replay every mistake you've ever made. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. Your brain is running on software that was last updated approximately 50,000 years ago, and it thinks you still live on the savannah. Consider what your brain actually is. It is a roughly 3-pound organ made of fat and water and electricity. It was shaped over hundreds of thousands of years by an environment that no longer exists. Your ancestors faced drought, they faced predators, they faced starvation and infection and the constant threat of being cast out of the group. The brains that survived all of that are the ones you inherited. Every anxiety you feel, every craving, every social fear, these are not design flaws. These are features. They just happen to be features running in a world that no longer matches them. The evolutionary biologist Daniel Lieberman at Harvard calls this mismatch disease. Your body and brain evolved for one set of conditions. You are now living in another. The gap between those two worlds is where most of your suffering lives. Think about sugar. You walk past a bakery and something in you lights up. You don't calmly evaluate the nutritional content of a croissant. You want it. You want it the way a drowning person wants air. Why? Because 50,000 years ago, sweet things were rare and enormously valuable. Honey, ripe fruit, these were dense sources of calories that could mean the difference between surviving the winter and not surviving at all. The ancestors who craved sugar the most were the ones who ate it when they found it. They stored fat. They lived. They passed that craving down to you. Your brain doesn't know that sugar is now cheap and available on every corner. It still reacts as if you just found a beehive in a tree and you might not eat again for 3 days. The same logic runs your social anxiety. You walk into a room of strangers and your pulse rises, your palms sweat. You rehearse what to say. You wonder what they think of you. This feels irrational. These are just people. But for most of human history, being judged poorly by your group was a death sentence. Exile meant exposure. It meant starvation. It meant no one would help you when predators came. The anthropologist Kim Hill at Arizona State University spent decades studying hunter-gatherer societies and found that being cast out of the band was essentially a death sentence. Your brain learned this so deeply that it still treats a room of coworkers the way your ancestor treated a gathering of tribal elders, as if your survival depends on their approval, because once it literally did. Now consider sleep. You lie in bed, exhausted, but your mind races. It reviews conversations. It invents worst-case scenarios. It worries about things that haven't happened yet. This feels like insomnia. It feels like a malfunction. But the neurobiologist Robert Sapolsky at Stanford explains it differently. Your stress response, the system that floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline, was designed for short bursts. A predator appears, you run or you fight. The threat ends, the system resets. But modern life gives you long, slow, ambient stress. Deadlines, bills, notifications. Your brain can't tell the difference between a lion and an email from your boss. It fires the same chemicals, but instead of resetting, it stays on, low and constant, like an alarm that never stops ringing. And that alarm keeps you awake because your ancient brain would rather you stay alert and survive than sleep deeply and get eaten. There is a strange comfort in this. Your brain is not broken,
It is catastrophically well designed for a world you no longer live in. Think about your phone. You check it dozens of times a day. You feel a pull toward it that you can't fully explain. Social media exploits a system in your brain that evolved for something entirely different. In a tribe of roughly 150 people, knowing what everyone was doing wasn't vanity, it was survival. Knowing who was angry, who had formed an alliance, who was sick, who had found food. This information determined whether you ate, whether you stayed safe, whether you remained in the group. The psychologist Robin Dunbar at Oxford proposed that humans can maintain stable social relationships with about 150 people. This is now called Dunbar's number. Your brain is built to track a small village, but your phone connects you to thousands, maybe millions, and your brain tries to keep up. It can't. That gap between what your brain was built to handle and what you now ask it to process is why social media makes you feel both overwhelmed and lonely at the same time. Or consider exercise. You know you should move, your body wants to move, but something in you resists. You sit instead, you scroll instead. Why would a brain designed for constant movement resist movement? Because movement costs calories, and for most of human history, calories were scarce. Your brain evolved a rule: move when necessary, rest when possible, conserve energy at all costs. Every time you choose the elevator over the stairs, your brain thinks it is saving your life. It doesn't know that you will go home and eat 2,000 calories without lifting a finger. It still believes that every unnecessary step could be the one that drains your reserves before the next famine. Your laziness is not a moral failure. It is a survival strategy running on outdated data. The same principle explains your fear of the dark. You know there is nothing in your hallway. You know there is nothing under your bed. But when the lights go off, something ancient takes over. Your pupils dilate, your hearing sharpens, you feel a prickling on the back of your neck. This is not irrational. For hundreds of thousands of years, the dark was genuinely dangerous. Leopards hunted at night, snakes hid in the brush, other humans moved unseen. The ancestors who feared the dark were the ones who stayed alert. The ones who didn't fear it got eaten. You are descended from the fearful ones. Your night anxiety is a love letter from 10,000 generations of survivors. And then there is love. You fall for someone and it feels like madness. It consumes you. You think about them constantly. You feel actual pain when you are apart. This too is a feature, not a bug. The psychologist Helen Fisher at Rutgers studied brain scans of people in love and found that romantic attraction activates the same brain regions as cocaine. Not metaphorically, literally. The same dopamine pathways, the same reward circuits. Because in the world your brain was built for, finding a mate and bonding with them was not optional. Raising a child alone on the savannah was nearly impossible. Pair bonding was a survival strategy. Your brain learned to hijack your entire nervous system to make sure you stayed close to another human. It still does, even when the relationship is bad for you, even when the person is wrong. The software doesn't care about your modern preferences. It cares about the ancient imperative. You are not living in the present, not entirely. You are living in a simulation built by ancestors who died so that you could survive. Every impulse you fight, every craving you resist, every fear you rationalize away, these are echoes of a world that existed long before cities, before agriculture, before written language. The world of your brain is wide open and dangerous and small. The world of your body is crowded and safe and overwhelming. And you live in the crack between them. The psychologists Lida Cosmides and the anthropologist John Tooby at the University of California coined a term for this. They called it the environment of evolutionary adaptedness, the world your brain expects, the world it was calibrated for. When you feel anxious for no reason, when you crave things that harm you, when you can't sleep, when you care too much about what strangers think, you are experiencing a mismatch between that ancient environment and this one. You are a cave dweller in a skyscraper, a hunter-gatherer with a smartphone, a Pleistocene animal in a digital world. And here's the counterintuitive twist. The very things that make you suffer, your anxiety, your cravings, your social fear, your hypervigilance, are the exact traits that kept your ancestors alive long enough to have children. If your brain were better adapted to the modern world, you would not be here. The fact that you struggle is the proof that your lineage succeeded. Every panic attack is a testament to 10,000 generations of survival. Every sleepless night is your brain trying to protect you the only way it knows. So the next time you feel that tightness in your chest for no reason, the next time you lie awake at 2 in the morning while your mind races, the next time you walk into a room of strangers and your hands shake, remember this: you are not malfunctioning. You are not weak. You are running on software that was last updated 50,000 years ago, and your brain still thinks you live on the savannah. But now you know, and knowing is the one advantage your ancestor didn't have. They could only obey the fear. You can see it. You can name it. You can watch the old program run and choose differently. Not because the fear goes away, but because you finally understand what it is. Right now, you're sitting somewhere safe. The temperature is controlled. Your stomach is full. There is no predator in the room. And your chest is tight anyway.